saw even the Taipei Assassins pulling Mac Noon into fights. Those can change things if you get the right wards up, pull at the right time, and initiate team fights. But the counter initiation here from CLG.EU, so many of these tanks could get pulled out. You pull in a Cho'Gath, a Leona, or a Malphite, and you just pulled in a problem. So he's got to be real careful what he does. He's just going to arcane shift away.
Yeah, so that's definitely a problem for them. So they've obviously come in with this with a plan. Now, we've seen Wicked on Malphite quite a few times. What will the top lane for WE be against that? And more importantly, what is going to be this AP mid that Froggen is going to go with? Of course, it's going to be Karthus.
Smart pick there by CLG.EU. This is somewhat comfort. The only guy who may not be 100% comfy on the champion is Wicked's Malphite. He's so much more comfortable on Aurelia, and Olaf would be really beastly against Malphite. So much about Malphite is stacking armor, but Olaf comes in with a whole heap of true damage. So that's going to be a tricky lane for Wicked. He's going to need a lot of help from Snoopy.
So take us through these team comps right now. We can see, obviously, we've got the universe of power of Karthus in there. You've got the Malphite ultimate. You've got Cho'Gath Disrupt. You've got Leona. There's a hell of a lot of crowd control from CLG, whereas you look at World Elite, they've gone into this one, they've got the Orianna pull, they could technically put that ball onto Maokai, he could dive into the team, Twisted Advance straight in there, and bang, ultimate straight away.
These are very beefy team comps really across the board. No one is actually that squishy outside of Ezreal, who can stay so far in the back, and this is something CLG.EU almost always does. They will pick very bruisery team comps. It's going to be a matchup of long, good team fights.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let them hear you on the crowd stage. They have, obviously, their headsets on. You can see them, the noise-cancelling headsets. But if you shout loud enough, they're going to hear you. If you want CLG.EU to take this game, give them a cheer.
For World Elite, if you guys want to see them come out strong, their first game of the tournament, let's hear you cheer. Ooh. A long ways from home.
Oh, they are a long, long way from home. They just had a little bit of a hitch in the Champions Select there, so they're going to remake the game. So, I mean, we can get to talk about this team comp a little bit more. I mean, so going into this one, who would you favor right now? Because we've talked to Wicked. We know he wanted Aurelia. He didn't get Aurelia. And that's literally, he was on stage. He says, all I want is Aurelia.
It's going to be tricky for them because so much of what they do is the tanky bruisery team comps, and oftentimes they will outlast the enemy because they will go squishier and they'll just be able to win just by sheer wearing the other team down. World Elite looks like they've really done their homework. The Aurelia ban, very important. So many teams have shied away from that because you've had to ban Aurelia against Wicked forever, and oftentimes they just say, well, he's picked up enough other champions because Aurelia's been banned so much. Then he starts playing Aurelia all the time, loses his practice with the other champions, and it's now a good ban again. But what World Elite's done with that really beefy team comp, Maokai, Blitz, Graves, Orianna, the shield on herself gives her all that armored magic resist. The fights aren't going to be CLG just bruising over them. They have to just outplay them in a lot of ways because I do give a slight team comp advantage to World Elite with their research and how much they may have thrown CLG off their standard play.
So I want you to put your live testing hat on right now. Why have we not seen Soraka at all throughout this? You can see the bananas poking up behind me. I want to see flash bananas.
It's interesting because so much of this has been adaptive, and Soraka used to be the queen of just keeping the passive lanes and letting people farm. But so much of this, as the bananas come flying out, is about aggressive lanes. There's so much lane swapping, and if you have a 2v1 with a Soraka, it's hard to get aggressive on that lane in a lot of situations, and she's not the best at just fast pushing and getting to towers. She's not as versatile as some of these other supports. She can't create kills. And so much aggression has come out in these bottom lanes lately. People have learned to work around the 20-second cooldown heal on Soraka that it's very dangerous to pick now.
I would have just gone with the fact they've remade the character. It's now got a huge head, and it's easy to target. I don't know. That was just me. But we are, looks like, going to get underway in just a few moments. So, CLG.EU, they're coming into this one. They've already won against World Elite at the quarterfinals of OGN. They're going to have that confidence, that mentality factor. As a former pro player, how do you deal with that? The fact that you're coming into a game that you know you've already lost in a quarterfinal situation.
The great thing for World Elite here is they can chalk that out to the players they've replaced in a lot of ways.
Right.
Sometimes you can take it off yourselves. They've switched 2 new members, and it was very recently, too. On August 25th, they picked up their new jungle, Clear Love. And then on September 10th, they picked up FZZF. So those were just very recent changes. But they said they practice every day. So that could still be hundreds and hundreds of hours of practice time with their new members. And it's a matter of they are a different team now. They say they're a different team now. That 2-0 is in the back of their minds right now.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like we are into the game. Hopefully the sun situation has been resolved. You know, we can't turn it down. We've got no dimmer switch for that sunlight. But as you can see, we are underway. If you've just tuned in and joined us, I know hundreds of thousands of you are watching at home right now. CLG.EU are in the blue side. WE are the red team. It is Europe versus China right now. Any sort of cliches you could throw at it, we will see whether any level 1 team fights go on. We've not seen too many crazy level 1 team fights, which I was surprised about. But CLG.EU, I know they want to have a team fight. Oh, and Wei Xiao's got to be very careful going around the side. And we get a pause straight away. They want to keep me feeling longer. That's what they want.
They've had so much talk about crazy level 1s early on in this tournament, and it hasn't paid off, as you said. The very first game, actually, between Najin Sword and IG was the craziest level 1 we saw. Jarvan put a flag over to the brush by the blue side red from the Dragon Pit. I hope I didn't... That was a bad description. But anyway, then they valked in over the top of it and used him as a human ward.
Azubu Frost.
It was IG Azubu Frost, not Najin. You're
right at the tournament, yeah.
And from there, it's been a lot of just standard posturing around. There's been some buff steals, but they just trade buffs in a lot of times. You'll invade red, then they'll counter-invade the other red on the other side. And other than that, it's just so much can be thrown at level 1 and so much can be gained. But these teams, because there's so much on the line, and because one loss can mean you're out of the tournament in a lot of these situations, they have been playing a bit more passive, I think.
Yeah, and of course, we spoke to Crepo earlier, and he said we now use Smite on red. Yeah, we don't allow a Gunwung to come in and steal it like he did in the OGN finals.
And that's something that had gotten CLG.EU in trouble earlier, is they had been too standard, and that incredible prep work from some of the Korean and Chinese teams had punished them very hard level 1. You can't just do a standard start with no spite pull anymore, because you'll come back to an empty jungle. If they know where you're starting, they're just going to take your other buff, and then they're going to go clear their buffs as fast as possible, just so there's nothing left to you. And from there, it's a large experience and gold disadvantage that you just fall back immediately in the game. And it's very, very difficult. They have to be aggressive at level 1. You can't just play passive, otherwise the other team will take advantage of you.
So there's a lot of you guys at home. You might be high elo players, you might be low elo players, I don't know. You could be terrible elo players. There's some depths of elo that I've never even thought existed, but they do. As a former player, how did you get involved in A, becoming a jungler, and then B, getting into Team Dignitas and becoming this pro player?
And you can see so much of what these guys do. They were, most of them, amazing solo queue players. But on top of that, you have to be amazing at communication, and you have to network. Don't be a jerk is one, because no one wants to play with them. And it's pick your champion, get up to the best rating, and then you grow your versatility. That's what most of these guys do. You look down the CLG.EU roster, and you think, Wicked, he became known for his Aurelia. Froggen, he became known for his Anivia the whole time, and that was often before they were even on teams. That's what they keyed off of. I know Skara played Katarina. Reginald played Ezreal in Season 1. Everyone had their champion that they really just grew and networked in, and people became known for that, and they became infamous within the community. And from there, they were able to come and be teams, and we resolved the problem. Here we go into the game.
We are into the game, and I can see immediately that Wei Xiao is very, very close to being caught out here. The Rook just
they got him with the Rupture!
Should be able to get first blood. Wei Xiao's going to try and get away from this one. The Ignite goes down. He does manage to escape it just about. So Ignite was used. That did manage to have to burn his flash, though. So Wei Xiao already in the bot lane has no flash.
That could be very big, especially with the aggressive lanes coming out. Crepo on Leona wants to kill early, as does the Blitzcrank. They have to be really cautious if they try to pull someone in, because Wei Xiao will be very vulnerable down there. After that engagement, though, that looks like their cards are spent. Will we see any more invades? I'm not thinking so.
No, they wanted to get that first blood down. Who used the Ignite? It was, of course, Wicked that used it, so he's not going to have it available in that top lane. That's not too big a deal. It's going to be probably up before he even gets a chance to even think about going for a 1v1 fight. Of course, that top lane is a potential place where we will stack. But WE, I've got to stop calling them we, that's for sure. Looking across the board, nothing fancy coming out. We did see someone yesterday with just full stack of oracles and a few health pots, no boots in all.
It's looking like we're going to see a 2v2 lane top, though, because Olaf is down, waiting to potentially take a blue buff. We've seen this out of a lot of teams. And here's a delayed invade. They're going to try to pull the blue like every other team has done. They're going to get this one. It's going to delay CLG's blue.
There's the blue. They do hook it through. Have they got the damage? And CLG are ready for this one. There's the Rupture. It's going to hit straight across. Messiah goes down to Crepo. First blood. The exhaust goes down on Blitzcrank as well. They thought about following up. They're going to back away. Clear up now. He's got a little bit too close. He could get the stun from Crepo. Instead, they're going to back away from that one. First blood for CLG.
They were ready for that play. They knew the Blitzer was going to come, and they all converged, flashing over the wall, landing the Rupture in the exact spot they knew they had to pull the Golem with. Then they got as well. They're countering this up right away. They're trying to steal the red as well.
Oh, Clearlove's going to walk in. He gets ignited straight away. He has missed the Rupture, though. He is going to get another hit. Yellow Pete should be able to get another shot on the back of him. It's going to force him away, and that's going to force Clearlove to back off. WWE do not want to let this one go there. They are going to fight for this red buff. You can see they've pulled it around again there. It is FZZF. It's going to come back around. Crepo still hanging around here. Now we can see Froggen starting to make his way up here. So Karthus is going to join the party. It's going to be a 4-on-4 potentially around the jungle. Level 1 red buff. CLG said to us, they cannot give up these things. You cannot let yourself be bullied at level 1. We must fight for everything we get in that jungle. FZZF, he wants to hook someone in here, but really I'm not too sure what target he wants to go for. Which one of those would you want? He's going to go the red buff instead.
He's just keeping it leash so it doesn't get high in health. Snoopy's Smite is coming up soon. When they'll get that, they'll be able to take it. You can see Orianna and Graves are off farming lanes. They're pretty much conceding this, and they're going to get the buff steal. It's just going to take them time and maybe cost them experience.
And the red smite was used there, and immediately we're going to see Snoopy head up towards that top lane. Crowd appreciating some clearly hard-fought play there from CLG.
Oh, and they're going to try to get the Rupture down onto Weezow. They just misses it.
Just misses out of it. Yeah, dodged out of it. Dashed through. So, the lanes start to reset themselves, and as you mentioned, it is going to be a 2v2 top lane. Froggen versus Messiah in that mid lane, and well, Orianna versus Karthus. Take us through that one to start with. We said that Messiah has to stop Froggen farming. How do you stop Karthus farming?
The great thing about Orianna is the auto attack harass, and the Q to W is actually very, very great. We saw Toys dominate with it yesterday, and Froggen's somewhat immobile. He does have to be careful against Orianna because the burst damage and the poke combined with Orianna makes it a very difficult lane for Froggen. You can see he's already ran himself out of mana here. He's getting as many minions as possible, but it's actually not an easy matchup for him. That 300 minions by 22 minutes is very unlikely to be replicated in this matchup. Okay, so the two bruisers currently down that bottom lane. It is going to be Chowmei versus Wicked. How would you rate this one? We said Olaf, you know, with the blue buff, you might note, he picked that up off the back of that one against Wicked, who obviously, as it stands, does not have any buffs, does not have anything. He has got his Ignite back available. He used it right in the very first fight. But Chowmei is definitely going to have a big advantage here. The axe spam with the blue buff is very devastating, and Wicked does have to be a little bit careful. He shoved up the lane very early, and the minion damage early on in the game is quite strong, so he wasn't able to actually trade back and forth. He withstood the blue buff. That was good play by Wicked in that lane. Overall, it should be Olaf trying to bully Wicked a little bit, and Wicked's going to have to win with gank support or with ganking other lanes, because straight up, Olaf does beat him with the true damage. And Snoopy's camping mid lane here.
He is camping mid lane. He's going to see if he can get on towards Messiah. We said Messiah needs to be dealt with, and Snoopy's going to come around. Wall of Pain, did it quite catch? I'm not sure if it did. Rupture's just about missing, and Messiah will walk away from that one. No problems at all. I can tell you the jungler has already fallen behind. Snoopy needs to be careful. He had a good advantage on that farm. That red buff at the start. Clearlove is definitely fell behind. He's still that level behind. He's going to struggle for the first few levels for that experience. You can see he's just taking golems on that top lane at the moment. But here in this mid lane is definitely where it's going to be. The CS between the two is 32-31.
And that's the matchup with Messiah. He is legendary for being the best mid laner in China. Everyone actually talks about how fast he clicks. Sometimes they say it's useless, but if you just watch him, sometimes he'll wiggle back and forth because he's clicking so fast. Actions per minute if you're trying to keep it up. A lot of people say it's useless, but he does it to get the absolute right position on every creep. And there's a lot of posturing going around up here. They're trying to shut Clearlove down even more. They stole his raids. It was a disaster early on for Maokai here because they gave the blue buff to their own Olaf, and outside from that, he hasn't cleared any of the big runes. And he's really struggling experience-wise. Level 2 at 6 minutes. Yeah, those bot lane exchanges between Chowmei and Wicked are definitely starting to prove a little bit devastating. There's a hook there on Crepo. I'm not sure if that was the one they wanted. Just popped his shield out of lane. He hooks him straight in. You know, he could just turn around and stun Weezhou, and Yellow Pete was free to do the damage. Crepo is quite happy to eat the hooks there. And Weezhou now has his flash up, so they've gotten through that period where they had to be quite careful. And you look in that top lane, how are they doing? 39-31 minion kill-wise. No one's went back to shop, and Weezhou only has the 1 level advantage. They are slightly stronger. When you pull someone into Graves, it allows that extended damage from Buckshot, and they have to be very careful. Yellow Pete needs to be able to arcane shift through those hooks. There's a potential 3v3 brewing up here. Tribo straight away. Snoopy walks straight in, puts the Rupture down. They realize his position, though. Oh, and he dodges out the hook there. Weezhou takes the shot in the back there. Mystic shot from Yellow Pete. But great little bit of juking. It was an expert escape by Snoopy there. He put the Rupture down on himself. It didn't grant vision until it popped up, so FCZF got the knockup, he got far enough away and then juked the hook. So really, if he didn't do all of those things just right, Snoopy would be dead right now.
I'm interested to see how this mid lane's going to work out. I think we're on for record numbers here between these two. 54-54 CS. They've both just backed off. Wei Zhao currently in that top lane as well. 49-38. Has that advantage over Yellow Pete currently. 10 CS. So starting to slowly build that advantage. That's all about having to dodge FC, his grabs, his hooks, trying to disrupt as much as possible. The junglers really have not been involved too much. You saw Snoopy going for a few little ganks in that mid lane. He's just going to play some wards in the mid. But Wicked and Xiaomei left very much on their own devices, just as we said in the keys to the game.
And one of the things with both junglers falling behind or not seeming to have that much action, when you do, oh, nice rupture by Snoopy, trying to just disrupt Messiah from going back. But the junglers early on like that, when you counter invade, you shut one guy down farther, but you shut yourself down too because the efficiency is gone in the jungle. Snoopy has spent so much time roaming around, so much time waiting around that red buff, that he just fell a bit off the pace, and he's only level 4 in 8 minutes, so really, both junglers are hurt from this, and it's allowing the lanes to really just have straight-up matchups.
Straight-up matchups indeed. That bottom lane is definitely going to be a farming session, and currently Ilaf is running out, so Xiaomei definitely out farming, and Wicked is actually pretty low, and he's in a dangerous situation where Xiaomei may be able to have a little bit of help from Maokai and dive on him. Currently the blue buff has just been exchanged, Messiah's picking that one up, but Wicked down this bottom here, a couple of axes coming across him will definitely work him down. Obviously he has that passive, did manage to dodge out of the way of it, but that's what I'm talking about. Xiaomei just putting that true damage down on him, the axe going across, he is incredibly low down the bottom there. They have grabbed Crepo though, they're going to put the ultimate across MCTF, they have got the exhaust on, he should be able to get away from it. Wicked meanwhile has gone down that bottom lane, Castle's ultimate is not going to land in a full length ultimate grab. What a fantastic grab there, and Wei Zhao picks up the kill. Xiaomei will go down in that bottom lane. It's a 2-for-2 exchange now. Oh wow, what a crazy fight. We missed the Wicked exchange actually. I think it was Snoopy that kind of baited him in there, did obviously pop his ultimate. We maybe get a look at that one, but wow, what a full length grab.
Froggen also coming in with that ultimate, helping out both lanes. Without his ult, neither of those lanes would have got either of those kills, so it was very key that he didn't get that disrupted by Messiah. WE actually coming out a bit ahead in these lanes. They gave up the first blood, but they've now pulled up a 500 gold advantage. So much of that comes from bottom lane. Xiaomei, double gold per 10 items, and just 20 minion kills ahead of Wicked, and he's granted the kill. That's where WE is getting their advantage from right now, and they need to support Wicked here. Xiaomei has done so much to beat Wicked here, because in the previous matches, Wicked's really been 2v1ing, and right now he's getting 1v1 by Xiaomei.
We talk about that advantage, but Wei Zhao, you know, he's ahead in farm, he's 78 CS to 57, 20 CS ahead, and a kill on top, which obviously gives him a huge gold difference. He's sitting on 2,600 gold in lane, just gone back to buy. Let's see what it picks up. He's gone straight for a BF sword. He has got a Dawn's Blade in there for that little bit of extra health, but very early on the BF sword.
They're going for the early aggression there. That's just saying you don't need to sustain.
Oh,
He's not worried about harass. And if they get a pull, he's going to follow it up. They're just taking that blue. They can't get there.
He can't get the range there. On towards that blue buff, wanting to pull it back. So 10 minutes gone into this one. Xiaomei working over that bottom turret. Messiah stealing away the race. As it stands, WE definitely pulled themselves back into this one and winning out the lanes.
And what CLG.EU needs to do right now to get back on this is kill out Clearlove. Clearlove's went for that naked oracles, which means he's gotten it before any gold per 10 items. He doesn't even have upgraded boots. If he is able to go around and clear out CLG.EU's wards without getting items beforehand, it's going to be disaster. FCZF trying to camp up against Wicked. These lanes have now swapped to 1v2s because it wasn't working out for Wicked. And WE seems to be content with just pushing up this top tower. It's going to be interesting to see if we can get himself back in the game a little bit from here.
Yes, it's interesting to see. We've got to 11 minutes. They have decided to switch it up. Does that mean they're going to go for a Dragon maybe? I can see Wicked actually heading down towards the mid lane at the moment. So will they maybe try and position themselves? I can see Crepo and Snoopy also starting to close that gap. Are we going to see an early Dragon from
Looks
CLG?
like
Definitely going to be an interesting setup. Looks like WE not really in a position to deal with this one because you can still see the top lanes are starting to head down. There's Orianna putting that distance down, trying to slow things down, but they are aware that CLG going for it. Meanwhile, down that bottom, I can see Crepo is actually Yellow Pete having a little bit of problems with Xiaomei. He can't get up to that Dragon, but it is going to get taken by CLG, and WE are going to give this one up.
Yeah, they had the two members top lane, and Wicked spent the entire time running down. When they did that lane swap, WE didn't react. Smart play there, CLG pulling themselves even in gold. The counter here will be for WE to push that top turret. If they get this down, it's actually going to be in the advantage of CLG.EU. It looks like that Ezreal is going to come up top and clear out those creeps. They won't be able to get this tower.
No, I didn't quite clear them down. It's definitely taken them low, and low enough to save the turret. Time for Wicked to get back in lane. Clearlove with that Oracle, like you said early on. 12 minutes gone in this game. First Dragon down. CLG.EU with pretty much an identical goal difference, which shows you how much WE have out-farming it, because that would have given 1k across the entire team. It shows that goal difference in terms of farming in the lane. 122 CS to 108, 105 to 81. Definitely big goal differences, and really it's hitting the right people as well. 3,800 gold to 3,200 gold. That is Wei Zhao versus Yellow Pete.
And on top of that, they've had to come back from the first blood disadvantage. So actually, WE outplaying CLG.EU since that first blood fairly vastly. Snoop8 trying to get in on clear life. He does have a pretty big advantage on him here, but he does have to be careful. He can get collapsed on.
Does be forced the flash from Clearlove. Meanwhile, we've got the hook up the top there. Wicked does have to flash away from it himself, though. We do have the rest of the bottom lane closing in on that blue buff, which has been taken by Froggen. And that is a nice bit of play. So CLG.EU starting to try and close out the resources early instead, and really force the play actually on WE, which is something I was not expecting. I would have thought WE would be the one that's pushing the place. As it is, CLG, you can see Crepo sat there. Is he going to try and go for Chow Mei, try and force that ulti? FZF, though, coming around the backside of Wicked. That tower very low. He's got a creep wave here. They could just push the tower down. They don't need to go for Wicked there. And Wei Zhao has obviously called it off here.
And this is something CLG.EU is trying to do to adapt. They actually realized that they were getting out-farmed by WE, which is something that almost never happens to them, which is why you've seen them change around their playstyle. They knew if they just stood and farmed the lanes, WE would overtake them. So they started going around forcing objectives, and they could not quite steal that blue buff from Messiah.
Yeah, as we were trying to put the ultimate across there, Yellow Pete didn't quite get it. And that will be Messiah with the blue buff, which is going to cause a few problems for Froggen in that mid lane. Looks like that top turret will be the first to go down. There it is, WE taking the first turret of the game. Yellow Pete now has been left to free farm down that bottom, actually, while Olaf has gone back. Round of applause for WE taking that first tower of the game, giving them that 1k gold difference. And as it is, 99 CS to 66. That is Wicked versus Chow Mei. Chow Mei definitely with that big advantage in that bottom lane. All about the blue buff early on.
And even look, mid lane, Messiah is out minion killing Froggen by almost 20.
But
every single lane is beating them.
The gold is actually close, though, because he's got those 2 assists. If you look at it, 4,500 to 4,700, it's still very much close between those two, purely based off those 2 assists from that, obviously, global ultimate you get from Froggen.
I'm very, very impressed overall, though, with WE's ability to farm here, because no one out-farms CLG.EU in almost any circumstances, and the fact that they're essentially right now beating CLG.EU at their own game, which is just farming pressure. Clearlove hasn't been anywhere for ganks. Every lane is just bullying, and it's overall pressure. It's kind of handcuffing CLG.EU here. There's a pull!
Crepo's getting hooked in there, but he's going to have enough to get out of this one. Just the lateral damage goes across. He's the Ignite. The Ignite will take him down. Wei Zhao drops. Yellow Pete's got to be careful now, because that hook will be back up in a few moments. You can get the power fist on him, and you can just get that arcane shifts away from the bookshot there. But we do see Orianna, Clearlove, and Messiah heading down. Yellow Pete's got to be careful. He's got Snoopy coming to try and protect him, but I'm not sure they're in a position to be able to protect against a 4v2. Snoopy now realizes he is in desperate trouble. Yellow Pete backs out of it. Snoopy should be able to back off, and he will indeed back away, and that is going to be the bottom turret gone. FZTF does pick that one up. It's 2-0 World Elite for those turrets.
Something about World Elite's style is they were actually the first team to kind of revolutionize the split push strategy, which later Azulu Blaze showed to North America at that MLG Summer Arena. And they're more likely to just take turrets when they send 4 down than to try an aggressive dive, because they know the map control can be snowballed better than a singular kill. And we saw that there. They would have had an opportunity to try and kill Snoopy, but they realized the greater advantage was to just take that turret. Now 2 turrets to 0 and a fairly large advantage.
So we have a bloodthirst to come out by now. Wei Zhao 2-0. Definitely ahead. 143 CS to 104. That is a big, big chunk of change difference between those two. 174 to 156 for the mid lane. As you can see, the gold difference proving it is a 1,500 gold difference currently for Wei Zhao to Yellow Pete. And that is a big difference. We're going to have to see Yellow Pete disappearing off to those lanes on his own. They're going to try and fight for this red buff. They're not in the right position, though. There's a ward right there. Crepo is going to certainly get caught out here. He has going to pop his ultimate. He was ready for it. The Ezreal ultimate comes across. There's the Cardinals ultimate. Can they catch out FZF? They will. His mana shield's on, though. He should be able to get away from this one. Crepo wants to land the stun. We can see the wall of pain coming down from Froggen. Froggen's going to get a couple of late waves. He's going to be able to back away. He's flashed out of it. Can he get close enough? No, the dissonance slows down Froggen, and they do get away from it. There's the Orianna onto a pull CLG back. Yellow Pete's trying to drive on Messiah. He is going to be able to back off to his turret. Very well played by WE.
And Wicked was going to try to pick off Blitzcrank over the wall, but he actually missed his ultimate. You can see it's just on cooldown. It fizzled into the wall, and that would have been a pickup they needed. But overall, a fantastic escape by FCZF, supported very well by Messiah, and that's his Orianna. They have to be very careful now. With that Athene's Unholy Grail, he's going to be getting most likely a death cap as his next item. They've done nothing to slow him down right now. He's really just taking it to CLG.
Absolutely, we are seeing Yellow Pete, like I mentioned, going to have to disappear off open lanes and just farm it out. So this is the time that WE want to start pushing the pace on CLG because they just are not winning out the fights. They want to pick up anything. That could have turned things. If they would have caught down that Blitzcrank, then Messiah would have definitely turned things in CLG's favor. As it is, WE with a strong advantage. Dragon has just spawned, and immediately WE on top of this one, so they know the timing. Despite the fact they didn't pick it up, they are right there the second it spawned.
Luckily, they had a ward on it the first time CLG.EU took the Dragon, so they're just taking clearly here, and they have a big enough advantage here. They know Yellow Pete wants to disappear in these lanes, so they're just not letting him. They did the red invade, which CLG was able to counteract, but just the overall objective taking, they're not allowing CLG to do what they want. Instead, they're dictating to them.
So that Wall of Pain hitting Xiao Mei forces him back. You can see that CZF, he wanted to get a hook on someone and open things up, and that's what CLG got to be careful of. They don't get any blind hooks through these walls. FCZF, we saw some fantastic hooks yesterday by Taipei Assassins, despite the fact they were pulling McNoon. They didn't want McNoon. They were after the jungler, but they kept getting McNoon regardless. It worked out for them nevertheless. Blitzcrank is interesting to see how he's come back into this one. We saw Curse using it quite often. Elements obviously was rocking Blitzcrank quite heavily in the North American regionals, but we haven't seen too many teams using it outside of Taipei Assassins that were pulling it yesterday, but it seems to work out very well. It's one of those champions, if you do hook a winner, you will definitely win out the team fight.
And now we still see CLG grouping up in the mid lane, and World Elite is kind of flanking around them a bit. They might look to force if CLG gets too cocky here. It could be Blitzcrank pulling them in, or it could just be CLG overcommitting, but that is not CLG style. If we see Wicked kind of ult in and try to create a team fight out of almost nothing, that would really be a sign that CLG is pulling for something, because we almost always see them counter-initiate and wait for the other team to come to them. It's kind of why they're sitting in mid here. They're waiting for WE to make a move, but they're not taking the bait. You can see Olaf's went up to push mid. CLG is just sticking around. Both of these teams want to be initiated on. Yeah, they're pushing that tower. Wall of Pain goes down to force them back. There's the rupture. They're going to continue. Yellow Pete managing to put the damage on there. Mystic shot. There's the hook. It's Wicked they pulled in. Not the one. He did have to flash out of it, though. He was a little bit worried. He's not tanky enough to take the full-on damage there, Wicked. So he did have to burn a flash, which means he will not be able to do any of those crazy flash ultimates you sometimes see from Malphite. And CLG back off a little bit from this one, but they are continuing to push this mid turret. They are just sitting here, and WE does see a lot of creep waves crunching up. It's a very interesting strategy here by CLG. They are poking away at that tower, and WE still not able to initiate on them. It's kind of odd since they are ahead. The hook comes out there. I think I just saw collateral damage. Did Weezhou just use his ultimate? Yeah, he did use his ultimate to try to clear the creep wave. Try and burst them back. Weezhou going down to that bottom lane. He's got to deal with it because that bottom turret, has been pushed heavily. And again, CLG still continuing to be grouped up. So CLG definitely changing their level of play here a little bit. They're not going to stick to those farming lanes. They are insisting on getting this turret. They should get it this time around them. That was just, there's the initiate! And Wicked's diving in there, FCZF gets dropped straight away. The Orianna ultimate pulls Crepo in there. Xiao Mei's going to try and get up to Crepo. Finally, they take the turret down. They're a little slow on that one. Crepo's gone down, Wicked has gone down. Froggen is going to drop. He's got his disruption slowly in there. Has got his ultimate available, but there's not enough damage across Clearlove. Has gone down. That's an Oracle down as well on Clearlove. That has definitely worked in their favor. It's a 3-for-3 exchange, 3-for-2 exchange, sorry. And that looks like Weezhou is going to take this turret down off the back of that one. So Team WE, despite the fact they got initiated on, are going to come out on top. If they can take this inner turret, that is disastrous for CLG. And that's actually what WE wanted. That's why they were around split pushing the lanes. They're just worried about overall advantage, and they're turning around CLG's strategy on themselves. Wow. 2 turrets out of that fight. It was a 3-for-2. That makes up for the Oracle loss, and that is a win for WE. CLG really pushing here because they are getting down and they're not sure how to get back in it. Well, this is the aggression you see often from Moscow 5. When they take that advantage, they will just drive it home on you, and taking 2 turrets and a blue buff off the back of a straight up fight from a 3-on-2 is disastrous for CLG. So now they're going to have to hit turtle mode. We've been and done it before. We're going to have a replay, ladies and gentlemen, with the player audio.
Blitz. I'm gonna go. Back out.
Marker!
I'm low. Get tower.
Run!